right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Megan, and thank you for tuning in to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. I'll be joined by Jason Mackey in a matter of moments. And I love having Jason on the show when I have Bucco fever, because today I have Bucco fever, right? The Pirates are crawling in this. They're in this. You know, one of 9 teams that are in that wild card race that are below 500. I can't believe the way this is shaking out right now, but it should be fun to watch. What worries me right now is the Pirates need a bat. They need a bat bad. And I would rather see them get one sooner rather than later, because if they wait too long, they might potentially be, 4 games out and really on the outside looking in. But right now they're in the thick of things.
Yeah, they are, Rich, and I agree with you on needing a bat. The complicated part is who can they get right now? Who's available? It's still a little bit early in baseball terms. I know people on the outside certainly want them to add. I do think the Pirates will add. I think they are aware of that. I think they're aware that in the outfield they're not getting enough production. Rowdy Tellez, he's come on late. He's kind of changed the calculus with what they've been getting at first base. But right now, if anybody, sort of fits their need, the type of player they want to get, that team's asking for a fortune, as they should. So I think they're just going to have to wait it out a little bit more, but I do think you'll see them add to the outfield mix.
All right, so my big question now would be, if they do add, and I think the Pirates are banking on some of these guys starting to hit, so they might not go out and get a superior bat to put in this lineup. And obviously they're not going to give a ton away, especially some guys, some prospects that they're counting on for next year and the year after. So what kind of prospect would they give away? What would they be willing to give up? Because obviously they're not going to mortgage their futures, especially because they're counting on the 25, 26, 27 years to be really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky needle to thread, Rich. And, I would say this, and this is kind of where I come down on prospects, that basically nobody should be unavailable unless your name is Paul Skenes or Jared Jones. But it's going to take a lot to get some guys. Tamar Johnson is a name that's sort of bandied about, Bubba Chandler, Braxton Ashcraft even. Those are guys that the Pirates very much view as part of the future, as they should. And, if you're going to mortgage some of that, it better darn well be worth the cost. I think a deal that is more likely for them, if you look at what they did with Carlos Santana last year, they traded him away for a kid named Johnny Severino, who was in the Dominican Summer League. He's got a lot of upside, but he's still an 18-year-old kid, and the Pirates have those guys to deal. They have international prospects. They have guys that most fans have probably never heard of, but they're actually decently regarded, and teams are looking for those. So, I mean, they're not looking to make a Pete Alonso type splash or something like that as much as people maybe want them to do it. They should have the prospect capital at the lower levels of their minor leagues where they can add something, but they also don't have to give up Tamar Johnson.
Yeah, I don't know if they can be one of the 3 teams that make it into the wild card race with this lineup right now. I mean, you look at yesterday, they had 4 hits. Today, they squeaked out a win with 3 hits. I mean, this team just doesn't hit. You can't rely on pitching all the time, although that pitching would be pretty good in the postseason if they would make the wild card.
Yeah, it would. And this is going to be an unsexy answer that Pirates fans get tired of hearing, and I understand why. But a lot of their improvement has to come internally. Brian Hayes has to give them more than he's done thus far. Rowdy Tellez has turned a corner. It would be great to get something from Jack Sawinski. It would be great when Henry Davis comes back for him to sort of put a stranglehold on the catching position. O'Neal Cruz has been really good at times. He's also been really quiet at times. Nick Gonzalez was outstanding, and then he's kind of tapered off. You got to hope that bounces back. Same thing with Connor Joe. So, I mean, they need performance that they have to level out a bit. It's not just about adding pieces. And it's also not just about adding bats. I know we'll probably get to this, but I think the bullpen is at least one arm short. I like the way the back end is solidified. Bednar, Chapman, Holderman. They're going to get Ryan Baracki back sooner than later. But I still want at least one arm for whenever those guys are down, that they don't run out of arms. We've seen that happen a few times this season.
So they have a big series this weekend against Tampa. Jared Jones is going Saturday. Paul Skenes is going Sunday. Basically, those 2 guys have really taken the attention away from Mitch Keller, who is having a really quiet, great year right now.
He really is, Rich. I mean, an all-star level year. Keller made the all-star game for the first time last year. He's been even better this year. I don't see how he doesn't make it, to be honest with you. He's gone, I think in his last 8 starts, he's gone 6 innings, maybe all 8 of those or 7 of 8, something like that. Off the top of my head, I don't exactly remember. But, I mean, he goes 5+ every time. He's been going 6+. His ERA is 1 and change over those last 8 starts. It's been really incredible. You heard Derek Shelton talking a little bit ago. Today, the curveball was really good. There have been other times where his sweeper was excellent. The sinker has been sort of a comfort blanket for him when things don't go that well. He's been using his cutter early in counts. I mean, this is a total pitcher. I think, we should probably step back here and think about Mitch Keller, his first 3 seasons. I don't know how many questions I answered from fans about what's wrong with him. When's he going to figure it out? They should DFA him, get rid of him. And you know what? Credit to Mitch, credit to the Pirates. They've all worked together and figured this out. Mitch Keller has been absolutely fantastic and has earned his way to Arlington, Texas this summer for the Midsummer Classic.
Yeah, I wish they would have done that with Tyler Glasnow and figured it out before they shipped him off for Chris Archer.
You're not alone, buddy.
Yeah, one of the worst trades ever. By the way, you were talking about Mitch Keller, 46 straight starts, at least 5 innings. That's pretty amazing, longest current streak in the majors. All right, we're going to take a break. Back with more Bucko Talk coming up next. Stay right there. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our tweet of the night. This is from the J. Hay Kid. Mitch Keller ERA through first 15 starts of the season. 21, 686, 22, 514, 23, 362, and 24. You see it, 311. Pretty stellar for Mitch Keller. I didn't mean to rhyme that, but it works, right? And look, I want to see this team make the wild card just because I would love to see, I would think Skenes would start the first game. But going Skenes, Keller, Jared Jones, I don't know if there's about there might be 3 other teams that can put a top 3 pitchers up against the Pirates like that.
Yeah, it's really impressive, Rich. It is. And people ask me a lot, are the Pirates more of a contender, or are they a bad team or whatever? Where do they fall? And my answer to that question a lot starts with the starting rotation. And I mean, that's the hardest part of baseball, right? To put together that top 3 and even a top 4 with Bailey Falter. I think his start last night was highly encouraging. I'm buying stock at this point, but if you look at that top 3, that is as good as it gets. All of the attention, as you said, has been on Paul Skenes, and justifiably so. He's been absolutely incredible. It's hard to believe that he's only 7 starts into his major league career. And Jared Jones, frankly, has kind of tapered a little bit. I don't think that that's going to stay. I think Jared Jones has just had some issues with having his best stuff on a given night or lacking one weapon or whatever, and he's had to kind of pitch around some things. But if you look at this top 3, and again, anchored by Mitch Keller, you cannot give him enough credit for how good he's been. I do not want to line up against the Pirates pitching in the playoffs. Now, I understand that leads a lot of people to want to see them at a bat, which is a perfectly fair sentiment. I'm not saying it's not, but it gives you a lot of hope if they make it in.
You brought up Jones, and I want to ask you real quick before we get to the phone calls. You worried about his last 4 starts? Is this concerning to you?
No, I am not worried about his last 4 starts. I'm not worried about Jared Jones at all. He's a rookie. I think he needs to be allowed to be a rookie. I think sometimes we look at Jared Jones and then look at Paul Skenes and we think they should be the same. Like what Paul Skenes is doing right now is not normal. What Jared Jones has done recently is a little bit more normal for a rookie. He's even still far ahead of the pace. So no, I'm not worried about it. He'll figure it out. He's a good kid, works his tail off, has dynamic stuff. The only thing I'm worried about with Jared, honestly, Richie, is what they do about his innings limit, because right now he's on pace to way surpass what he's ever thrown in the pros before.
Yeah, when you put it that way, I mean, Jones, he's probably better than normal when you're looking at a rookie pitcher. Let's go out to Rich in Penn Hills. How you doing, Rich?
Hi.
Going? Yep.
Oh, okay. Hi, Richie, Jason.
Hey.
I just wanted to bring a couple points. We have guys like Brandell, Taylor, Gonzalez, Tellez, Chapman. We missed out on Cody Bellinger, but there is a couple interesting players from the Chicago White Sox, Andrew Vaughn and Lewis Roberts particularly. I think could help. Roberts still has 2 years left on his contract.
And you also missed Hoskins, probably is another guy that you could throw in there too. But back to what you were saying, I hear those names a lot. Jason, the White Sox. And who knows if they're going to deal those guys, but I would think it would take a little bit more than the Pirates want to give up to get two of those types of players.
At this point in the schedule, Richie, I would agree with you. That's what I was saying earlier on. I don't think that's a bad deal for the Pirates. No, I wouldn't say that they, missed out on Cody Bellinger. I'm not sure how seriously the Pirates were kicking tires on Cody Bellinger.
Yeah, that was like
Bellinger.
3 years, 80-some million, right?
Yeah,
I mean, are they going to pay that?
That's just no.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not.
The Hoskins, they potentially could have paid that.
Yeah, they could have, and they thought that they could do things better with the first base platoon, go righty-lefty. Maybe they're wrong on that. I'm not sure. I don't know if I like that price tag for them, honestly, with Hoskins. But I understand the need to add. I understand Luis Robert would make some sense, Andrew Vaughn, whatever. I mean, there's some good players there. Teams are going to be having fire sales. The White Sox are kind of the first one in the clubhouse with that stuff. But right now, again, teams are just asking for the moon because they can.
Here's the problem, Jason. We've seen this before. There's so many teams, like we talked about. There are 10 teams fighting for 3 spots. Everyone wants to be a seller, essentially, I would imagine, right? I mean, everyone wants to be a buyer. Excuse me. Everyone wants to be a buyer. These teams are going to hold their cards close to the vest, right? I mean, they're going to try to figure out what they are. And if it's this bunched up in a month from now, then we're going to have real problems. No one's going to do anything.
Right. And that's why this next month is so important for the Pirates. And I think this is what Major League Baseball wants. I think it's great to keep fans involved. Your team has a chance. Everybody wants to see Major League Baseball have more parity and look a little bit more like the NFL. It doesn't do that. That's a whole separate discussion with a cap and a floor and a different revenue sharing system. But this is a way to sort of, cheat code your way into some parity. And yeah, a lot of teams think they're in it. So it's going to take some time for that to suss out who's for real, who's for not. And right now, that's why you kind of have a staring contest with teams that still think they're in it.
Yeah, definitely need a salary floor, but that's a topic for another day. All right, Ben out in Natrona Heights. How you doing, Ben?
Hey, Rich. What's going on, brother? How you doing,
Hey,
man?
thanks for calling, Ben.
Hey, quick question, man. Paul Skenes, he's obviously off to an amazing start right now. Do you think if he keeps at this caliber, a lot of mention with him being compared to Stephen Strasburg, do you think he can establish that career like Strasburg did and just continue at this pace and eventually win multiple Cy Young Awards?
I don't see why not, Jason. I mean, everything that you see, he's an elite pitcher. I think maybe better than Garrett Cole at this point, and that's a good debate, right? I like him as long as he doesn't get injured. I don't know if it's realistic that the Pirates would be able to sign him long term, but we can think about that in 6 years, right? But right now, let's just enjoy it, and I think you're seeing something very special.
Yeah, I don't know about that whole second contract thing, or I should say, a free agent contract, something like that. I mean, yeah, that's a long way down the road. I think it's highly unlikely. I honestly don't want him to have a career like Stephen Strasburg. I look at Stephen Strasburg, and I think that there was a whole lot more that he never really accomplished. I mean, it's nothing against Stephen Strasburg. He was just hurt a lot.
He was shut down. Didn't he have Tommy John, too?
Yeah, I mean, he had about everything under the sun. He had thoracic outlet syndrome
Yeah.
surgery, was shut down, all kinds of stuff. I mean, he battled injuries his entire career. So I don't want that for Paul. I mean, I'm not putting any limits on Paul Skenes. I see this kid every day, how much he puts into preparing his body, a routine, understanding things. It's like talking to him, it's tough to remember sometimes that he's only 22 years old. He's so mature. He comes off as 32, 33, 34. I'm not putting any sort of limit on him. The only thing I look at is pitching is a violent thing to do for a living. You're going to get hurt, and I don't want that to be an issue with him.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people compare him to Strasburg coming out. I don't know if I would want, like you said, him to have his major league career. I'd hopefully he has something like Garrett Cole or Justin Verlander or a guy like that. But I think that's the trajectory he's headed to. Let's go out to Mike in Newcastle. How you doing, Mike?
Richie, Jason, how you gentlemen doing tonight?
Good,
Hey,
thanks
Mike.
for calling.
Yeah, I like to talk about, you were talking about earlier with the salaries and stuff. I actually think the Pirates are doing what's right for what circumstances they're in. Now, if you want to have a conversation, like you said, about the economics of baseball need to change, that is true. But when you're a low-revenue, small market team like the Pirates, you need it.
Mike cut off here,
lost
but
it.
here's the thing. You owe it to the fans. And I always hate getting into this debates because, look, it's not my money, but I want them to pay more. I think the fans deserve it. They're yearning for a winner here, and they've had opportunities to pay. And now you're seeing a team that's competitive. So, Bob Nutting better put his wallet where his mouth is, right? At some point, because
don't put his mouth where his wallet is. We don't need that.
Because he said he is going to spend money and he's going to do what he can to be competitive once you get there. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, that's what we've been told. We've been told for years now, Richie. I've asked Ben Cherington this question multiple times. I've asked Bob Nutting this question about supporting this group whenever they have a need to fill. And I understand why they're doing what they're doing. To Mike's point, you do want to grow pitching in the minor leagues. You want to draft it. You want to develop it. It's very expensive, and what has gone into what these guys have done. And teams like the Pirates need to do that. If you look at the Rays, they're a pretty good comp. They do an excellent job of that. The Pirates aren't all the way there, but they've gotten better. You grow that stuff, and then you have to supplement positions. You're going to have places that are weak. And right now for the Pirates, I would argue that's the outfield. And it's going to cost some money at the deadline to do that. I will go this route. Bob Nutting has told me in the Dominican Republic they expect to contend for a playoff spot all season long. They want to win. Winning is the priority. People will disagree based on their actions whether they actually mean that. But if you want to win, which again I do believe they do, and you need to win by getting a bat, here we go. You got to get a bat, and I think we will see that.
If they win, fans will come. You saw what happened on Monday. I was at that game. You were at the game.
Yep.
There's excitement there. Fans want that. So give it to them. I'm not saying throw money away, but spend money. That's what I want you to do.
There's a smart way to spend money too, Richie. We were talking about this off air. Get somebody you can keep around for a couple of years. People understand if they're not going to go spend $20 million on a rental, a guy that's done after this year. Like, that doesn't make smart business sense for the Pirates. But you can spend a couple of prospects, use some of that capital to get a guy who's going to be around a little bit with a reasonable salary number. There's no reason you can't do that.
Totally agree. We got to take a break. Back in a couple minutes.